Hey guys, this is Joseph Lucero with Powerlifting Technique. And today we're going to talk about, should you bench flat-footed or with your heels up? So some people in powerlifting talk about certain foot position matters the most. And that foot position isn't necessarily if your feet are wider or more narrow. The real question is, should you have your feet flat with the floor or should you raise your heels up? In powerlifting, there are some individuals who might have restrictions on their mobility, like hips, tight quads, but there's also issues with federations too, where certain federations don't allow you to use certain techniques in a way. So regardless of all of that, let's say in an ideal world, you had great mobility. And let's say in an ideal world that federations didn't necessarily matter. Would it be better to go flat-footed or with your heels up? So by the end of the video, we'll give you our expert opinion on the situation. But before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about the bench press and some of the goals that you want to have when you bench press. So my number one thing when it comes to bench pressing is making sure you have immense stability with your press. Now, you'll see some people in the gym where they're doing the bench press, arms are shaky, they almost bounce it off their sternum. A lot of these things are actually negative characteristics of the bench press. We want to be stable and firm with the descent so that the ascending motion is superior. To do that, you want to have real good contact with the floor. Some people might have limitations to where they want to have their heels up because of tight hip flexors, tight quads, etc. But if you have your whole foot on the floor or the balls of your feet on the floor or your tippy toes, having good foot pressure is one of the main big purposes and desires of great bench press, which leads us into the next part. The better foot contact you have with the floor, the more leg drive you can implement to have a more powerful press off the bottom of your chest especially. You'll see a lot of the expert bench pressers, they'll come off their chests and explode off their pecs. That attributes to great tricep strength, shoulder strength, pec strength, etc. But their feet planted into the floor firmly, whether it's the toes, the balls of the feet, or their heels down, having those feet pushed down into the floor with good leg drive is going to help you implement explosiveness off your chest. Think about this. You take your feet off the floor when you bench press, you have no stability, you have no power, you have not really a lot of good leverage on the bar. So your press kind of looks just ordinary from start to finish. That's what makes us so strong when we bench press. Our feet stable into the floor, whether it's the toes, the balls of the feet, or flat-footed, is going to allow us to do that. But when it comes to the mechanics of the bench press and having superior pressing motions, superior stability, and superior strength off the chest, I really feel that a flat foot is going to be better than the balls of your feet or the toes. One of my best bench presses on record raw is 465 pounds. If you look back at the video, I benched on my tippy toes for that. Now, it is my best bench press, so I guess I should have some bias to toes. But knowing what I know now, and having done what I've done, I feel like if I would have implemented a more flat foot on my press, I think I would have maybe inched my way to 500. The reason why I believe the flat foot is the best is because if you can get your whole foot on the floor, then you have that much more control with your press. And when you look at some of the people who bench on their tippy toes and the balls of their feet, you'll see their legs kind of shake. You'll see the bar drifting side to side. Not every person does this, but I feel like the majority of people who do that might not necessarily have as much control as they would have if they had flat feet. Now, let's say you have some limitations, tight quads, tight hip flexors. Doing those stretches, foam rolling beforehand, could be a great tactic in order to help you increase your hip mobility so that your foot can go from heels up to slowly drifting down to the floor. Now, let's say you have shorter leverages, a shorter femur, shorter tibia, fibula. One of the other things you can do too is you could wear a heel supported shoe like a squat shoe when you bench press. Using those shoes can help you get you that much closer to the floor so that when you do press, your feet are fully pushing off the floor to having a more stable, controlled, and powerful press, especially off the chest. Now, I got a little tip for you guys today. Whenever you set up for your bench press, it would be wise that when people set up and they get into the power position, which is a whole different video of itself, they arch their back, they pull their hips up into the air a little bit. Let your butt come in contact with the bench. Don't let your butt rest on the bench. If you want to have great leg drive, leg power, and leg stability and explosiveness off your chest, when you set up for the bench, just let your hips touch the bench. Don't let your hips rest on the bench, because if you do that, that's going to help you have more control and stability from the downward phase, which is going to make you much stronger and more capable during the upward phase. Leave a comment below, like the channel, subscribe to us. Sometimes your comments become videos. Let's hear about your bench approach, why you do it a certain way, and maybe develop more of our technique through the comment section below. My name is Joseph Vincero. I'm with Powerlifting Technique, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and there should be more to come.